Welcome to Underexposed, where we highlight some curios and overlooked gems of the recent past. The 1990s, a decade where dinosaurs walked, landmarks exploded, and Godzilla royally shit the bed. It was in 1998 that a dank, slimy film called Deep Rising went hard, mean, and dirty, and wound up a complete commercial and critical failure for its trouble. Deep Rising waved its banner for monster movies, drive-in schlock, and B-movie disaster pictures. Nowadays, nostalgia for the down and dirty 70s and 80s has seeped its way through the fabric of mainstream media. Amongst the John Carpenter synth scores and Stephen King hero worship, we forget that blockbusters of their day tended to lean into the more camp, wonderful spectacle. Deep Rising isn't just indebted to this nonsense, it's an open celebration of it. When I say nonsense, I mean it with the same affection I'd give to any pleasant but hardly earth-shattering action romp. God help me, I love me some Tango and Cash. Deep Rising doesn't take itself seriously and invites us all to have a collective chuckle as this gross thing chows down on a literal boatload of belligerent morons. The plot goes something like this. A group of mercenaries and smugglers set out to rob and destroy a luxury cruise liner. Unfortunately for anyone who doesn't want to be horribly murdered, the ship has been attacked by a terror from the ocean's depths. A cross between a lamprey, an octopus, and Squidward on a bad batch of Edinburgh's worst heroin. Now, with the help of a feisty thief and the hindrance of this world-class bastard who owns the ship, they need to escape before, well, this happens. Sounds simple enough? Well, it is. It's pretty much Alien Resurrection, but replace Ripley with "we couldn't afford Harrison Ford and Kurt Russell was busy," and swap out the aliens with SpongeBob's peyote-fueled Freudian nightmare. While it doesn't sound like much, there's a reason this film has lingered so long in my memory. From the halcyon days of watching it on VHS, usually back to back with Virus because I clearly fucking hate myself.
Steve.
There's a charm to this film that's often ignored. For a start, the cast is diverse and wonderfully smarmy. Yes, they're meat for the grinder, but it's a whole lot of fun for us to play with our food before it gets eaten. The closest we get to any real heroes in this film are unrepentant criminals who are slightly less complicit in the hundreds of awful deaths than the main villains of the piece. Imagine Firefly, but made up entirely of complete and total pricks. The deaths range from cold and detached, the smart secondary love interest is one of the first to be turned into human soup, to outright horrible. Oh, that's a fucking bad pint. Some of this unexpected nastiness would find its way into Stephen Sommers' family-friendly follow-up, The Mummy, and sets the film apart from the predictability of its ilk. That's not to say there aren't problems. The monster design is suitably squirm-inducing, and for the most part, the film knows when to hold back on the big payoff. But as is so often the case with these mid to low budget genre efforts, the effects don't hold up to bright lights or big reveals. The money shot of the full creature is some PlayStation 1 cutscene looking cat sick that should have been dumped in the Mariana Trench. Then there's the dreaded comic relief.
Was it the water in my eyes, or did I just see a little lip action between you two?
He's so jittery and annoying, the film constantly tries to kill him, as if they're hearing the audience's prayers and saying, "We know, he's the worst, we're gonna give this guy a gun and try and kill him."
You asshole!
They also really want the lead actor to have a catchphrase, so they settle on the lamest one they could possibly piss out.
Now what?
Now what? Now what?
It's fucking terrible. I love it.
Now what?
The critical consensus upon its initial release was not kind. Roger Ebert went so far as to place it on his most hated films list, while most others ignored it entirely or wrote it off as derivative hogwash. And you know what? I'm totally fine with all of that. Give and frame out some of that sweet, sweet hogwash. While I know Deep Rising isn't anything more than a decent piece of driftwood that's floated down from the 90s and into the part of my brain that lights up when someone gets sucked into a toilet, sometimes that's enough. Not everything needs to be a crowd-pleasing pleasantry or Terrence Malick quest for the soul. Maybe we should all leave a little room in our hearts for a big dumb monster on a big dumb boat. Thanks again for watching In Frame Out. Feel free to like and subscribe, or don't, I'm not your stepdad, but it does help us out a lot. If there's an underrated film you'd like us to cover, hit us up in the comments and we'll try and make it happen. Until next time, this is In Frame Out.